All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 5:30. Reading of the district's promise statement. We promise to provide a supportive environment where unique learning experiences empower all for their chosen life adventure. Are there any additional items for the agenda?
I did make some additions earlier today.
Okay. If not, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
That's Tim Johnson. Do we have a second? That's Tim Elke. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0. Recognition of visitors and open forum. I don't believe we have anybody signed up, but as you guys leave, I did bring Valentine cookies, so please take one. Happy Valentine's Day.
Claire, don't forget your cookie.
Yes, take your cookie. Don't forget it. All right, reports and presentations. We'll go to you, Claire, if you want to begin.
So this week's snow week, we had coronation on Saturday, and then we also had a dance afterwards. It was a bigger turnout than I expected. There were quite a few upperclassmen, which I wasn't really thinking there would be, but it was fun. It was about 2.5 hours or so right after coronation. Then afterwards, we just cleaned up, went home, and then today we're starting with our sporting events and like dress-up days throughout the week. So should be fun. And on Friday, we have our Pep Fest.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like the kids had a lot of fun at the dance,
Yeah.
so that was good. Any questions or anything for Claire?
What are you learning about right now in your leadership class?
We're doing a book study right now. Seven
Habits?
Yeah, of the effective teenager or something like that. So we had our first book study today, and we're talking a lot about how it's kind of weird because the book contradicts itself a lot. We found like it asks how you feel about your something, but then it will often like say don't be self-centered, and but then it's always like going back to you like you should take care of yourself and you should do this, but then it's also like you need to make sure you're looking out for others. So we're kind of studying how like different things to do in different situations, like reading through all that. And then yeah, we're working on individual projects as well, but we haven't really gotten too far. It takes a lot of coordinating, and especially with only 1 hour during the day, usually a lot of people we have to talk to are busy, so we're gonna have to start finding more time. But other than that, that's pretty much it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you, Claire. I don't know if you have to get going, but you can stay as long as you need to and then head out, and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Yes, good luck. Just remember, only one cookie.
Yeah. All right, 6B, superintendent report.
We've had a busy few weeks since we last met and everything. Our long-term sub status, we're full. We've gotten all those positions filled. One of them, we are using 2 teachers from within. I did meet with the negotiation committee a couple weeks ago now, and we discussed how we can handle that situation and how we can handle their dollars for that additional load that they're working on, or that they're doing right now. At the end of January, we also had a student success committee meeting. One thing that was discovered during that committee meeting is we're just giving updates, and we're not using it as an advisory group like we need to be. So looking at all of our committees and how we can use those more as an advisory group than a just an update, just updating people. So we want to be able to get people's information and learn what they're thinking and how we can better run the school. We've had a reduction of our health services coordinator position due to no longer contact tracing for COVID. So that position comes to an end later this week. Mr. Hansen has also put together a parent engagement team. One thing that they're going to be looking at their next meeting is our attendance policy, and if things need to, how we could change things to make it easier for the school district and for parents to know what's going on here at school with attendance. So that's the first topic they're going to talk about, and then they have a list of other topics they want to talk about. as they start meeting more and more often. So, and then we've just had a couple resignations in the last week. One was Carrie Bluth, our business teacher. So we'll be posting for our business position. And Gunnar Molstead, our high school choir teacher, has also resigned, looking at moving back to, or up towards Duluth where family is. So we'll be posting for a choir teacher soon also. Any questions for me?
None here. You want to go on to 6C then, negotiations committee report?
Yeah, I did meet with the negotiators, Tim Johnson and Tim Burke, a couple weeks ago. The biggest thing we talked about was the overload pay for Paige Bellick and Jess Keach for the work they're doing covering Kathleen Williams' maternity leave. One other thing that we talked about is a comparable job worth study that's being done on, for our school district. So far, the organization that's looked into it for us, they've identified 3 areas that we need to adapt or fix. They're looking at 2 more areas. So when I have more information on the comparable job worth study, I will bring that to the board also.
And that's gonna cover, when you say the areas, or is it gonna cover the whole district?
It will end up, by the time we're done, it will cover the whole district in every position that we have within the district.
Okay,
So we may be looking at, when negotiations come up again in 2 years, writing our contracts a little bit different, so they're easier to interpret and identify different positions within each contract.
very good. Any questions on that? All right, 6D, budget information, enrollment update.
Our enrollment right now looks like we're down about 3 students. However, with that being said, we're down 4 students. I know we have 2 new students starting either next week or the week after in the elementary school. So like we've always said, our numbers are pretty fluid with enrollment. However, with our budget, we did a good job budgeting conservatively at 650. Our enrollment right now is at 671, so numbers still look good.
Any reason as to why we lost them?
One family moved.
Oh, that's all just one family?
That's 3 of them are one family.
All right, any other questions on that? All right, historical cash balances, any questions on that? Still looks like it's staying pretty steady. Before we move on, should we ask Zach if, Zach, did you want to give an update on anything?
I don't have that much to add. I kind of overheard Claire and she said pretty much the most of it.
Okay.
So in our class, we just like started our internship pretty much. So I know her and then Ian Barnes are working mostly on elementary, like in high school involvement. I'm working on more of like academics and like getting more recognition, items like that.
When you say internships, this is through the leadership?
Yeah, that's through our leadership class.
okay.
So like for the college class, like last semester was more of like the leadership development, like book study of it.
Got
And
it.
now it's more of the action planning and actually enacting.
Okay.
What we talked about last semester.
Okay, got it. Any other questions for Zach? All right, thank you.
There's cookies over there. Would you leave,
Yes,
Zach, if you
yes,
want one?
please
Thank
take a
you.
cookie. All right, we'll move on to 7 then. As always, we can pull anything out. And does anybody have any clarifying questions?
If you open up this personnel staff changes. You'll notice the list is rather long. The spring coaches were added to that this morning when Wendy returned back after being out last week. The resignations are, the current resignations that we have are in there, and also a lane change. And then it identifies our long-term subs also.
Are we short any coaches anywhere?
For which sport? Do you remember, Wendy?
Junior high track and field.
So they plan to have 2 for that?
I think so, because they have so many kids that come out for that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it's combined boys and girls.
Yep.
So I think they have 2 head coaches and 2 assistant
Okay.
coaches and junior high coaches.
Are we good with long-term subs, or are we still short?
We're good.
Good? Nice. For now.
Yep. Any other questions? All right, if not, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
That's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
That's Tim Johnson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0. All right, 8, old business, school board vacancy update. As of now, I believe we have 7 total candidates. And it's, as we stated last week, it's open till the 24th. I did see that the paper had the ad in the paper this week, so that was good. Katie had put together a list of questions that we might want to consider asking during the interview, so if we can all take a look at those. And then she also put together a list of the responses for us as well, so. Am I missing anything?
No, just discuss the process. I would say, how many do we want to interview? When do we want to take those interviews to take place? I would say probably just more about how many do we want to interview, and then thinking about how we're going to select which questions we're going to be using for the interview. How long the interview's
Going
how
to
many
interview.
questions and how long we're going to give each candidate time to interview.
Any thoughts on numbers of interview
I
that we
would
want to
like,
do?
I would think like 3 to 4 is all I was thinking. May depend on if you get 7 more candidates or not, but.
Mhm.
And then I think you just do a selection process to get to the interview, kind of like we do for the superintendent, where you just, everybody votes on their, I don't know, I don't recall exactly how we did it, but we could figure that out. You vote on your top 3 or put them in order, and then the top 3 are the ones you bring into interview.
Yeah, I think there was a matrix that Gary Lee had suggested us, like we,
Rate them.
yeah, do a
Yeah.
ranking somehow.
Ranking.
So, yeah, I'll take a look at that, and I can send that out.
But that might be after the final 3. You're gonna just rank off their questions.
I think you'd have to rank to
To-
whittle it down to your final interviewers.
Yeah, I would think so
Yeah, I
too.
agree.
You'd
but-
have to do a ranking system of
Yeah.
female, or some form of feedback form with a rating system with it.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you'd evaluate just their questions to rank them down. But I guess that's how you're gonna do it anyway. That's all you
Yeah,
have
we'd
to go by.
somehow have to. And I can talk to Gary some more too about it and, show him like how many candidates we've got and maybe he can give me some more advice on how to whittle it down.
Do we need to meet after the 24th, once they're all in, and discuss which ones we're going to interview, or do we do that through email, like a ranking?
I think we'd have to meet,
Okay.
yeah. So, yeah, I'll talk to Gary Lee some more and get some more information from him on maybe doing that. So we just need to figure out how many we want.
Does people think 3 or 4?
Yeah, I was initially thinking 3 myself,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah, 3 sounds good to me too.
3 or 4 is fine.
yeah,
I mean,
I think you
if there's 7 now, and there might be a couple more, you know, if you have 9, you might wanna go with 4. you
True.
know, But
yeah.
I don't know that you want to say concrete 3, because if you might have
Well, that's true,
a
the
couple that
ranking.
in there that are close when you come to the ranking part of it.
That's a good point.
So you want to have some leeway in there of,
Okay, but at least we kind of have an idea. And then do we have an idea of roughly how many questions we want to do? Did everybody get a chance to look through them?
I think there's 13 questions on there right now.
Yes.
Which one was that? I may not have.
Yeah, I don't know, because I couldn't open it on my phone.
So
I think I
she
opened it.
sent it on February 9th.
School board candidate questions?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought that was just some of the answers to them, sorry.
There was another one that was just the answers. So it'd be easier to read it all in one sheet.
I mean, we could ask all of them if we want, but I didn't know how long we
And
wanted
those I just
do
found
it.
online. They
Yeah.
were ones that kind of were coming up on different websites, something really
Do the
similar to that.
names become public at some point as to who applied, or the finalists?
The names are public now.
Oh, they are.
Yes, because it's no different than, I talked to Gary Lee about it today. It's no different than when somebody puts their name in to run for school board, their name becomes public immediately. So this is the same situation, he said.
I don't know, I was thinking out of those 13 questions, that if we asked 8, picked out 8, that would be enough for us to make a determination. You know, that, just my opinion on it.
I'd be comfortable with that, and give them time limit of 3 minutes per, and then they have 2-minute questions, 5 minutes at the end.
So 30 minutes,
Yeah.
essentially.
And we're giving them the questions ahead of time? Or not necessarily? So they have time to prepare?
I don't know, sometimes I think
No.
that's not
Off
the
the
best,
cuff?
that's not the best, I mean, if you give somebody time to prepare and think about the questions, they may answer differently than just when you ask them, and that's when I feel you get what their true feelings are, but again, that's just me.
I guess you could ask if there's anything special from Gary Lee if they prefer, but I would think not beforehand, and then you could, when they come in for their turn, then you provide them the sheets, so then they don't have to ask any, repeating or anything like that. They can go back to it and everything like that. They just have it in their hand.
That's a good point. Okay, any questions?
That's a practice that we use is they come in, we give them a sheet with the questions on it, so they don't have to, if they want to read it themselves or whatever, they can. So,
And then as a board, we can each ask one question, or maybe we should do that. How many do we got here? 7, 6?
6.
6? Yeah. 8's fine too.
Okay. So 3 to 4 candidates, depending on how the ranking. I'll talk to Gary Lee about if he's got any suggestions on that.
And then do you want then we just provide what questions we feel are top 8?
And it doesn't have to be limited to these either, if there's something that
Yeah.
Something
isn't
else comes up.
included in here that is important.
Yeah, how do we want to narrow down the questions?
Right now, you want to do it? Or?
We could.
Me personally, I think you should probably get rid of number 1. It could potentially open up to somebody
Oh.
having a different opinion of somebody else, a different applicant.
Yeah. Okay, you're gonna edit right away?
Should I just take it out?
Sure, yeah, let's just do that then, so I don't have to.
I was gonna strike it, but I couldn't remember how to do that.
Okay.
It's under tools. It's under format text, if you want to strike it out.
Format. Two and three are kind of in the same general area, so I suppose one of those could be crossed off.
Well, 2, 3, and 13 are all very similar.
Maybe 13 is the better
Yeah.
one to
13
ask.
is better, take out 2 and 3, I would say.
Yeah. Would most of them even really know what 6 is?
Yeah, I was just reading that one.
I'm thinking we
So
might be.
that's down to 10, so we basically just need to get rid of 2 more.
So get rid of 6.
I'm just wondering if they would, if they
They
would
might
really
not
even know
know
what
what
6
our-
is.
Promise statement is and stuff.
And then could you, where'd it go? Number 9, could that kind of somehow
I'll wrap it
be
in.
wrapped into 13?
And we kind of asked that, I guess.
Or
Well, yeah, we've asked that on the interview
Yeah.
question, didn't we? Or the, yeah, good point, Tim. Yeah, we can remove that one then.
So you're down to 8?
Is there anything on here that, or is there anything that's not on here that that anybody has maybe thought of that we should ask?
Do you want to ask is this just for the fill-in, or do you intend to potentially run again?
I don't
Can-
think
I
you
don't think we can
no.
ask that.
I
Okay.
don't think you can.
Good to know.
If we talk about budget, we don't really talk about policies. Do we want to ask a question that addresses that, since that's kind of the other?
I wasn't sure about the budget question, just because
Oh.
they're not gonna know much about the budget either.
Yeah,
Like
maybe
you
we
do.
can reword that one to,
Or do something on policies.
right, yeah. Or we could just take that one out and,
Typically, at the end, you would have something about what questions do you have for
Right.
us? Or why do you think this is a good fit for you, for your,
Well, wasn't that kind of one of the questions in the interview process too?
yeah.
Or you could ask something like in your experience, have you had, are you understanding of the school budget or expenses, and would you do anything different or something like that, where they might bring up some good or some bad.
how would you write that?
Yeah.
Do you have an understanding? Something like that, or?
Or what is your understanding of the school budget and,
Almost like
policies?
the word expenses better.
Oh, yeah, you could do that together, yeah. Expenses and policies.
We have what? The 24th is when it closes, and then we're gonna look at doing this. So
Yeah.
maybe what could do is just kind of go through, take out, like what you're doing, Kate, take out the one, send it out to everybody, and then we can look at it, maybe figure out different wording, or somebody comes up with a little bit different, you know, because we do have at least 2 weeks, you know, before we're gonna do any of the interviews yet. Maybe there's some other questions that pop out, or something that's out there that kind of covers what we're saying here, because how many of us, when you ran for school board, knew how the school board budget worked or expenses worked?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
even now, there's questions.
That's why
on
I was trying to
Right,
reword it
right.
where if they, some people might be getting on because we're spending money on projects or
Yep, no,
because
no.
the payroll's too large. So how could you word it as in trying
Yeah,
to,
that's what I'm saying, is like,
trying to
maybe
get an
we
answer like
can
that?
go through this, and then if we can figure out a better way to word a question or something, you know, we have a couple weeks.
So
you know,
would
at
we
least.
discuss all this on the 7th at our school board session, or are we having to do, and just close the
Special
meeting?
Beforehand,
Or do we have to do it earlier than
Ready
that?
to go for 7? Because how soon after we want to make a
Yeah,
decision?
yeah, we're gonna have to decide when we're gonna have these, the
Interviews.
actual interviews too.
The 24th is a Thursday,
Yeah.
so I don't know if anyone would want to meet up Friday, or we want to review
So
it a
maybe
little
once you
bit.
get the final, we have the final list, we send it out to do our rankings by Friday end of day, and then that following week we can set up interviews, top
Yeah.
3 or 4.
'Cause when do
Because then
have
we
it
have to
closed?
wait 2 weeks, isn't it, for the public to potentially?
30 days,
30 days, so this person isn't gonna even start till April.
right,
Right.
yep,
I guess if it's 30 days, what's another week?
yeah.
Well, and that thing,
So
Well,
we
time
can,
it to a meeting.
we can work on
Yeah,
a,
might as well have 7th study session.
do it on the 7th at study session.
do what there? The,
That way we're saving taxpayer money, paying us.
It might be a late night, because we have a presentation that night, and we have preliminary budget that night.
well, and we can work on the schedule too, to,
What
maybe we
happens
can
if a
see what
candidate has
everybody's
a
got.
conflict?
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out,
Well, if we do the ranking ahead of time and we're all pretty in line there, that might determine whether or not we need another meeting to discuss it. Like if we all kind of have the top 3, 4 candidates,
yeah.
then there wouldn't be too much to discuss other than the questions.
Well, I'll talk it over, Jeremy and I can talk it over and see what's available, and then we can maybe ask you guys if you have anything, like any conflicts on any days or something that we might,
And like February 24th, or February 28th, that would be a Monday night. It's tough because sports are starting to come to an end now, and you never know when a playoff game's gonna pop up.
right?
Not on a Wednesday,
Playoffs can happen on Wednesdays.
can they?
Mhm.
Really?
Hmm.
State tournament happens on Wednesday now.
Huh.
I thought it had to be after a certain religion. Okay, so the
Okay.
decision will be made by you two, and you'll let us know.
We'll work with you guys to see what works with calendars and stuff and figure out, and I'll confirm with Gary about the ranking and stuff and how we can do that, how much of it we can do ahead of time and how much of it has to be done in a meeting, because that might help determine what we need to do for a meeting. All right, was there anything else we needed to discuss on that? All right, 8B then. Approval and final reading of policies with substantial changes. Like I said, I'll just read off what I had written last time from our study session. After our last meeting, I received a call from a basketball parent regarding the activities committee, and I realized I needed to make myself more clear and reiterate some of the things I had said last time. As I stated before, I don't want this committee to do what they have been doing. I personally would like to see the committee focus only on the strategic plan item 4.3, activities and clubs. This means all activities, not just sports, and within the area, not just in Janesville. This could include things like Waseca County 4-H or the Mankato Civil Air Patrol program. It could be anything that the kids might be interested in. I would like it to be an actual committee, not just board members receiving updates, kind of like what we had talked about with the Student Success Committee. Obviously, Ryan, Grant, and the selected board members would be there, but I'm thinking it could also include maybe Andrea from Community Ed, Anna as the school counselor, and Tegan Knoblich. She had spoke up during our Student Success Committee last week, or a couple weeks ago, about different activities for kids. Or maybe even the kids from the leadership team would be interested in discussing that. I would just try to keep the committee to no more than 10 people to ensure progress is made. And then I need to be clear that what I said last time was not intended to say this committee would do anything with the complaints about sports. My point was about kids quitting activities they once loved, so maybe that means we start some co-ed intramural teams like volleyball and basketball. They can play for fun with friends without worrying about competing. My daughter is a good example of this. She was a good volleyball player, was pulled up as a freshman, and started as a sophomore in varsity. She loved practices, but hated the competitions, especially when they were losing and everyone took it out on each other. She loved the sport, but quit after her sophomore year. If we would have had an intramural volleyball team, she would have played on that in a heartbeat. The kids who thrive on competing can continue to play the MSHSL sports, and those who just want to hang out with friends and play some games can play the intramural sports. It might get a little tricky finding gym space, but maybe we can work something out with Trinity or, like I said, Nick James, or maybe some of the other clubs can utilize those. The possibilities are endless, and I really feel we can reach our goal of 100% of students in grades 7 through 12 participating in a school activity, sport, club, or community organization. It is so good for the students academically, socially, and emotionally to be involved in a group or activity. This is what I would like to see come out of this committee, and it's our job as a school board to help provide activities for our students. So that's my thought on this, the changes to the activity committee. Any other comments?
I'll say it again. I've said it the last two readings. I just think the board doesn't need to be involved in the activities. I think, I like your ambition for that. It's a great idea, but I think some of those people maybe that you listed off, students, maybe the coaches, should be part of this. Take the board out of that. It just puts an extra layer in there that doesn't need to be there. And it's never really had to. As Jeremy did the research, there's very few community or activities committees in other districts, and I just don't think it's needed here.
Yeah, and the only reason I didn't say coaches is because trying to get away from it just being sports, that it's all activities. But I guess I wouldn't be opposed to a coach being on the
But if you're
committee
trying
too.
to drive numbers up in sports
Yeah.
and everything like that, that's partially there.
Yeah. No, I think a coach could be part of that committee too as well. Whatever we feel is best. So, I don't know if anybody has any other comments or.
I know the main focus on this, that we've discussed on this policy change has been about the activities committee, but we did make one other change in the policy of having our buildings and grounds committee separate from our finance committee due to the fact of the construction project we have going on this upcoming summer. So, however you want to state
Yeah.
the motion,
Well,
we
and-
need to keep that in mind also.
And I should say too, that I was hoping that we would only need this committee maybe for a year to get that, reach that goal, and then we don't have to worry about it after that. I guess unless we do another strategic plan, item that might focus on activities for some reason, but. So. I guess I'll just make the initial motion then, to approve approve the policy as currently stated, with the activities committee and the buildings and grounds committee pulled out. Or not pulled out, but like, they're added to it, I should say, added to the policy. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
That's Katie Cahill. Any further discussion?
So if I vote against this and I just want the activities committee out, what is that then? What's that vote? Is that still an A? Because I'm not approving the whole thing? Or
Right.
what?
Right.
Okay.
You
That's the
can-
only reason.
You can
Yep,
vote against
yep.
it, and then,
If the majority vote no, then we
yeah,
come back and.
then we would go back and you could make a second motion to have the activities committee out of it.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion carries 4-1. 8C, approval of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2025 superintendent contract. Any questions on that, or any discussion on that? Okay. I'll make the motion to approve the July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2025 superintendent contract. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
That's Tim Johnson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0. And then, moving forward on that, congratulations, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
should say that. You will now work with the principal position then, right? Okay.
I will, there's nothing in, I've talked to a couple different superintendents on thoughts and their approaches to it, and of course, I got two different answers. There's, in the teacher contract, it specifically says, you have to repost positions. There's nothing in the principal's contract saying that we have to repost positions. So that's where I'm at right now is, do we need to repost it? Or if I'm happy with the candidate that we have there, can we just offer that contract? So that's where I'm at right now is figuring out how I need to move forward with it.
Okay.
Is that a 2-year contract?
That's a 2-year contract.
Any other questions on that? All right. 9. New business, approval of overload pay for Paige Bellick. Now, these aren't resolutions, right?
No,
Okay.
so they're just approval for overload pay for Paige Bellick, also for Jess Keach. This is what I met with the negotiation committee about, because it's a special circumstance where they're giving up prep time, they're doubling up some of their classes. So I worked with the union to come up with a way we could determine how much doubling up a class is worth and how much losing your prep time is worth, because now they have to prep outside of the school day. We came up with the formula of creating it, or dividing it up into 12ths. So if you have, or 12ths over 2 days, so each teacher teaches 6 classes, so that's 6 12ths, and then they each get a prep, so that's, those are worth double. So it ends up being 12 12ths as you go through it. Paige, over the period, would get paid for 27 and a half days at 5 12ths of her normal pay. And Jessica Keach is 5 12ths for first semester and 6 12ths for second semester. So we have it broke down, so. And because it's overload, we have to go from, with the teacher's salaries, we don't use our base long-term sub pay.
Any other questions for Jeremy? All right, do we have a motion to approve the overload pay for Paige Bellick?
I'll make a motion to approve the overload pay for Paige Bellick.
That's Tim Elke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Burke. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0. 9B, approval of overload pay for Jessica Keach. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
That's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Elke. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0. 9C, bid information on the summer project.
Last Thursday, we had bid opening for our ventilation improvement projects. That includes the general trades, mechanical work, electrical work, temperature control, and then testing balance work package. We had 3, 6, 9, 12 bids that came in. There were 3 for the electrical. True bid came in at the lowest bid at $364,000. Then Ewell, who does our temperature control right now, was the only bid for our temperature control. General contract, or our general trades, came in with Knutson for doing the main construction part of it. The mechanical is Gemini 26. And then the testing and balances came in, Premier Testing and Balances came in. Comes out for a grand total of $5,192,100, which is under what our, what we thought it would come in at. So it's sitting, numbers-wise, we're sitting very good right now. Right now, we're looking at having about $1.6 million of allocated money. So if something comes up along the way, we do have the dollars to put towards that. Also, there's a few things, there might be a few more air handlers that we'd like to put into the project as we start to move through, get into the project also.
Does Site Logic vet these all out?
They've already been vetted.
Vetted references and everything?
Yep,
Oh, nice.
all that's been done. I pushed to get that done before today so we could make sure that we could get approval. So then we can get, if we get approval tonight, they'll start doing their submittals tomorrow.
So they have no concerns with these, their
No,
ability to
the
work
only
and
one they had a
quality?
real concern was with the electrical. And Dave Gibson from Site Logic got back to me this afternoon saying, nope, we're good. They double-checked all their numbers, so.
So since came in way under, they verified that everything was
That-
captured, that they captured everything in their bids?
Yep.
Okay. Nice. Mike, any comments from you on anything from the bid process or anything? No?
Looks good.
Okay.
I like it.
All right, so we have to approve this?
There is a spreadsheet down farther
Oh,
that does show what all the bids were that came in. So then it's just approval to move forward with the project,
Okay.
and we'll get Site Logic moving on it, or doing submittals tomorrow.
any other question? Oh, go
Were
ahead,
they all
Tim.
good with, as far as, everybody knew as far as the timeframes that everything needs to be done and completed, and
Yep.
the occupancy
Occupancy?
of the building that we still need to have for certain areas?
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions?
And this is scheduled to start,
There'll be some of it. The Windows part of the project will be starting April 5th. And then the true new air handlers and all of the main part of the construction project will be starting the beginning of June.
Any other questions?
Has there been any knowledge of delays in any materials?
Not
Yeah.
at this point.
Good question.
That's why we're as early as we are. I should answer that different. The equipment that we were concerned about having a delay, we pre-ordered. We pre-ordered that in December in order to make sure we had that for the start of the project.
Okay.
And they'll keep us posted on a regular, like weekly or whatever update.
They'll
to-
keep us updated, and actually, they use a program that goes to Mike's iPad that gives them an update every day of what got accomplished.
Procore comes up with what's overdue, delayed, who we're waiting on, can scroll through it
Okay,
and get a lot more hands-on with that. too.
so that way if something does come up that they find out that there's gonna be delay, we'll know about it right away.
Yep.
Okay. All right, any other questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve, to move forward with the bids then, right?
Yep.
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
that's Tim Burke, do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Elke, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0. 10, approve resolution accepting donations. I will read them off first. We have multiple anonymous donors in the amount of $660 for Kids Corner wraparound tuition donations. The Bulldog Backers donated $2,000 for the Bulldog Backers Scholarship. Bulldog Backers donated $5,000 for the sound system, and that's all paid for now, right? Yep, okay. Janesville State Bank donated $14,705.74, and that's from the Bulldog cards. Bulldog Backers donated $3,849.71 to the musical swing show stage set pieces. All right, do we have a
What does the-
sorry. Yep.
Bulldog card donation go to? All the other ones say what the purpose was, and that just says what it is.
That is a donation that we get each year from Janesville State Bank, but all it talks about in the letter is something to help with academics. So we don't have a specific place it gets donated to each year. Last year, I think it went towards community ed, or maybe the last couple of years, I think it's went towards community ed.
Do you give that back to the bank to let them know what it went for at all? Or I mean, like.
If they ask, we
Okay.
let them know, but.
So it's just administration determining where it goes then?
mhm.
Good question. Any other questions? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to
That's,
approve donations with many thanks.
that's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
That's Tim Johnson, and this is a roll call, so Wendy?
Yes.
Elke,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Sice.
Yes. All right, motion carries 5-0. 11, upcoming meetings, we have Buildings and Grounds meeting next, today. And then March 7th, we have our study session, March 21st, regular meeting followed by the Activities Committee meeting. April 4th,